Hello, and this is Bogas Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the Marvel Legends Ares figure. So before we take a look at Ares, let's take a look at the accessories he comes with. So for the Build-A-Figure piece, he comes with the left arm of Hulk and the hammer accessory. As you can tell, my Hulk figure is already built, and I already put the arm on. So there you can see what piece he comes with. Ares comes with this little knife. Well, it's actually a big knife. I like how the silver is actually like marbled. It's got some nice sculpting on the grip. And he can hold this in either hand very well. He can hold it in his right hand like that. Or for the product shots of the old figure, because this was actually a Build-A-Figure in 2009. He was very hard to get. Like, I still only have his arms, head, and accessories from the old figure, the old Build-A-Figure. But he, on the product shots, he was holding the knife in his left hand, like that. So I really like that he can hold his accessories very well. Plus he has a sheath right here that goes in. He comes with this gargantuan sword. I like how it's got some sculpting detail in the blade. How it's got those nicks and even chunks taken out of it on the edges. It looks really nice. And I really like that marbling to it too. I don't know where any of my pieces are to this, or I would show it. But I do remember that the sword was just a flat kind of gray color. There was no marbling or anything to it. It's got some good sculpting there. And he can hold this in either hand very well. And he can hold it in his left hand. Although I just keep it in his right hand, like this. And he comes with this axe. Now this is actually just a repaint of the Thor Lord of Asgard axe. But it does look really good. I do like how all those scratches and stuff are sculpted in. You can see the detail there. Certain way the light hits it, you can see all the scratches and stuff sculpted in. And then he's got the handle there. Not much more going on there. And you can just put this in his right hand. And he can hold his accessories very well as stand up with his accessories. I didn't figure he'd be able to do that. And you can turn him upside down and it doesn't drop off. And I suppose you could count this as another accessory. His helmet does come off. I really like the mohawk on this. That has some really great paint detail to it. How's that dark gray and has the light gray over it. I really like that. So I'm going to leave the helmet off until I show his head. So for the face sculpt, I really like it, but there's just something odd about it. As you can tell, his head really can't look up. You can kind of loosen it on the peg a little bit to get it to look up. But there's just something odd about the face to me. Like those blue eyes with the blue shadowing around his eyes. I just think that looks a little odd. Like when you have the helmet on, it looks just fine. Let me get his head angled back up there. Like, see, the blue looks fine like that. Like, you really, it doesn't bother me. But if you take the helmet off, I just think his eyes look a little funny. I don't know, maybe it's just me. His hair's sculpted on nicely. Not really a lot of paint detail to it. It's just kind of that flat brown color. And there's his logo. His logo did change from the previous Build-A-Figure. It was smaller. It was a lot smaller. I really like that logo. It looks really awesome. It's got more sculpting detail on the leather on his midsection right there. Is it supposed to be like leather straps? I was never quite sure of that. I like his wristbands there too. Looks really nice. And another thing I did want to point out is the articulation on this figure is less than you'd imagine. I mean, it's perfect for me, but it does have less articulation than newer Legends, since this was an older figure and Hasbro redid it. I do remember on his arms, though, these spikes back here were painted silver. And I wish they were painted silver on this version, too, because just being brown looks really funny. But he's got more sculpting detail. I actually like the color and paint detail of the leather straps on his arm, on his left arm. Because if you look, there's black painted in between the lines, these in between the straps, as well as a dry brushing of black on top. So I think that looks really awesome. I also think his holster for his knife, or his sheath, not his holster, his sheath looks really awesome. It's got a lot of paint detail to it. I like how it's gunmetal dry brushed over the black. That just looks really, really awesome. And then it's the same way with his armor pads. Well, I did forget to put his helmet back on there. And the armor on his legs, like his knee down, that's just some really great sculpting. Like you can see there are nicks out of it, and there are scratches sculpted in, and the paint really helps to define that. That's why I said paint can honestly make or break a figure, and the paint on this figure definitely makes it. Just look at that, the color on this armor, and all the scratches and stuff that's sculpted in. That is just really, really awesome. So this figure really blew me away because I always wanted to get this figure, the Build-A-Figure, back in 2009, but it was just really hard. Like now the figures to make the old Ares are going for like $200 to $300 a piece. So that's why I was just stuck with a head and arms and accessories, because his accessories were sold separately. So now I'm really glad to have this in my collection. This actually finishes off the Dark Avengers, and I'll show that in just a minute. Right now I'm going to go over his articulation. He's got a ball-jointed head that can look up. That can look up just a little bit. It can look down just a little bit. It can move side to side. Like I said, with the articulation, like on his neck right there, you can see, let me just pop the head off real quick. As you can see, it's just neck and then ball peg. There's not a separation there. Like on the back, it's just neck and then the ball peg. So that's why it hinders it, because the head is just on there and it can't go really back or forward very much. It can't go back at all, but it can look down just a tiny, tiny bit. He's got ball-jointed shoulders that can move out very, very, very far. Like they can actually go up, they move out so far. He's got a swivel at the bicep, single-jointed elbow, swiveled wrist that can move back and forth and side to side. He's got a ball-jointed diaphragm that can move all the way back and all the way forward, and you get a little bit of side to side there. He's got ball-jointed hips, and this is where it gets tricky with the articulation. Like, you take the knife out, and you can get him doing a complete split, which I do love. But since he has these kind of weird ball-jointed hips, you do have to kind of swivel his leg up and like that, because you can see that now the joint right there is to where he can kick forward. So you do have to move it like that to get it to get him kind of in a stance, or just to show the articulation like I'm doing, which it doesn't really bother me. He can kick forward that far. He can kick back just a little bit. He's got a swivel at the thigh, double jointed knee. Now this knee is a little tough to maneuver, but you can get it doing that. He's got a swivel at the ankle and an ankle rocker. So this figure, even though it's an older figure and doesn't have as much articulation as the new Marvel Legends, it is still really, really awesome, and I would highly recommend it to just a Thor fan or a Marvel Legends fan to begin with, because this figure is just, I'd have to say this is the best of the wave. I like Hela because I do have her, but not as good as Ares. And maybe it's also number one in my opinion just because I've wanted it for so long. And I'm going to show this off. Here is the original head for Ares. I do like it better because he has that 5 o'clock shadow going on, and his eyes are painted normally. As you can see, some of the paint has scraped off of it just a little bit. But I'm wondering if this head will fit on the new one. Let's pop it off and see. It should, because this is the same body, just they tweaked the articulation in a couple places, so as far as I know it should. Yep, it fits on there. So there is the original Ares head on the new body. I actually think I like that better. I thought the skin tones might not match up. I thought that Hasbro changed the skin tones, but they didn't. Yeah, I really like that one better. I don't know why. Maybe because he actually has eyes and the 5 o'clock shadow, because here's a side-by-side comparison. Let me move this out of the way here. You can see this one has that weird blue shadowing going on his face. And I just like this one. It's just plain and, you know. And the helmet should fit right on him. Yep. Wait. I had that on cockeyed. So that will work if you have the whole Build-A-Figure. You just have the head. That will work. And I really like that better just because he has the normal eyes and, you know. Okay, so now it's time for a size comparison. Let me angle this down here. Here he is, next to Thor. I think the size difference on these two is pretty good. Thor is just a tad bit taller than Ares. But you can see that they're just about the same height. And Ares actually finishes off all of the Dark Avengers. So I'm going to try and show that all right now. So first up, here is Sentry, which, spoiler alert, doesn't go too well for Ares, Sentry versus Ares. If you have not read Dark Reign, the event, I would recommend it because the end of Dark Reign, the showdown between Sentry and Ares, is epic. So there is Sentry and Ares. I'm trying to get his weapons down here so you'll be able to see. There he is with Daken, next to Daken. I'm not sure if Daken will stand up. He'll just have to lean there. The Iron Patriot. I'm not sure why he's so tall. He's just about as tall as Ares. He should be shorter. And Captain Marvel. Or actually, I'm just using this as a stand-in for Marvel Boy. Get him. Got this weird knockoff Spider-Man. A yard sale I'm using for my black suit Spider-Man. Just trying to figure out where to put him so it'll stay in frame. Let me move the camera back just a little bit. There, that should be able to stand here. So there's Spider-Man. This is really tricky. But I wanted to do it all in one video, show all the Dark Avengers together. And Dark Hawkeye. There. So there are all of the Dark Avengers together. And that is really impressive. I really like that. And I'm just really glad to have all of the Dark Avengers together because you've got to admit, that looks really, really awesome. And you can't really see Spider-Man. He's leaning back here on Ares' shoulder. But there you go. That's my review for Ares. I would highly, highly recommend it because it's just a really awesome toy. So, that's my review. And if you like this review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.